Welcome everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill of Scrummy Quick Designs, and today's tutorial is going to be about making a Santa snack placemat that you can put some cookies and some carrots and a glass of milk for the reindeer using an image that's in Design Space already. And we're going to be using several different things, so let me go over the supplies with you real quick. Of course, I have my big Cricut Easy Press mat. You need to have this because we're working with a larger project. So this, and then I'm going to be using the 9x9 Cricut Easy Press 2. You can use the regular Easy Press, the original, or you can use any of the Easy Press 2s will work for this. I'm using the 9x9 because it's the most popular size, what most people have, and it'll work great for our project. So we're going to be doing this. You will need a blue light grip mat for putting the vinyl on, and this is what we're going to be using, the Cricut Everyday Iron-On. Now this has the strong bond, long-lasting protection, which means that it will last over and above what the use of wear and tear will probably put up with this. So it's good for a variety of projects, and I'm using white, okay, and I'm using this red placemat. Now, other things you're going to need to have, this is a Teflon sheet, okay? We will be using this because of the material that I'm using for my placemat. This is like 95% polyester. So polyester has a high, can get melty, I guess would be the best way to say. Heat can affect it. So we're going to be using this to help protect the surface when we go to apply our everyday iron-on. And of course, you're going to need a weeding tool. And I love to have the little pair of tweezers because they really help me. These are out of the Cricut weeding tool kit, which I highly recommend. I really like this weeding tool. It has an extra little hook here on the end that helps get in when we're working with the vinyl to weed it. And also the little fine tip on these tweezers is perfect for getting into those small places. And I'm going to have a pair of scissors because I'll be cutting away some of the vinyl when I go to do that. Now, my mat came from the Dollar Tree, okay? So they had a bunch of different ones. I like this shiny kind of gold one because it just looked like it would attract Santa to come look and see what's on here. So you need to look at what material your mat is made out of, and usually there's a tag on it, and you can read the tag and figure out what material you have, because then of course you need to make sure that you have selected the right heat setting on the Cricut heat guide for you to apply your everyday iron-on. Okay, so I'll show you that here in a minute as well. So this is everything you're going to need. Of course, you can use either a Cricut Maker or the Cricut Easy Press machines to be able to cut it out. Okay, so now we're over in Design Space. I'm going to show you where I got the images from and how I customize the mat so that it will be special for that particular family I'm giving it to. And the first thing I want to do is go find my image, right? So I'm going to go into Images, and up here in Images, I'm going to put Santa Snack. Cricut has a whole thing about Santa snacks in Design Space, and there's some really cute images. So I'm going to switch over to cartridges so we can see them all at the same time. And there's Santa Snacks, and there's 8 different images. So we're going to click on this. And in here, there's some really cute ones. So depending upon which one you like or fits your theme better, I elected to pick this one right here. And let's see, does it say anything? Carrots for the Crew is what this one's titled. So we're going to pick Carrots for the Crew. I just thought it was really cute. So it says, Merry Christmas, Santa, carrots for the crew, milk and cookies for you. So perfect. Using the placemat that I purchased at the Dollar Tree, this will be great, and it'll be so much easier to store it because you can just roll it up or fold it up and put it away instead of having some bigger plate or something you've got to deal with. And this is being shipped to somebody, so I want to make sure that it's easy for me to ship away too. We've got the image. Now I need to figure out how am I going to size this. So what I'm going to do is go over here to the side menu where it says shapes, and I'm going to pick a square. And on that square, I'm going to move this down. Okay, and on that square, I am now going to change it to the dimensions of my mat. So every placemat is a different size, basically. So you need to measure the one that you want to use. and I'm going to change that to 18 inches. Mine is 18 inches wide, and it is 13 inches high. So I've got that. I'll minimize this so you guys can see it. Okay, so here is representing my placemat. So it's 18 inches width and it's 13 inches high. I'm going to go ahead and change mine to red just for visual purposes here. Of course, we won't be cutting this out. This is just to help us size everything. So now I'm going to take my Santa snack image, all right, and obviously my placemat is very big, right? It's 18 inches. I want to cut this on a 12 by 12 mat. I don't want to have to get out my big mat, so I know that the maximum I can size this width-wise is going to be 11.5. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to 11.5 up here in the edit panel. And that's going to give me a nice size for this. And I know I'm going to cut it out of white everyday iron-on, so I'm going to go ahead and change it to white just so I can start kind of seeing how it's going to come together. So that's going to look great. And then I want to do the love from the kids, right? The kids' names. So I am now going to come over here into the text, and I'm going to type in love. Okay, so I'm typing the kids' names in. So you could do, you could put from the so-and-so family, you could put all the kids' names, whatever you want to do. I have all the kids' names now. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to go back up here to alignment because I want to center this. So I'm going to hit center. Okay, and then I'm going to move it up here so I can kind of start seeing if that's about what I want it to look like. And that looks pretty good. I think I would like it to be just a little bit bigger. Maybe about like that. And I'm going to cut everything out in white. Okay, that looks great. So now that's how I size my image. That's how I got it ready. And then when I go to Design Space, so I'm not going to need, I can just move these over because we're going to apply those separately when we do it. And then I don't need to have the mat cut. So I'm going to come over to the layers panel. I'm going to click the little eye and it's going to hide it for me. And now we're going to go over to make it. Now, it's both of them fit on the mat. Yay, on the 12 by 12 regular Cricut mat, and I'm going to be using the light grip blue mat, and I'm going to move this down just a little bit because I am going to cut this out and weed this separately. The thing about working with iron-on is that you need to make sure that you mirror your image because you're going to be cutting it in reverse. So when you flip it back over and go to iron it on, it's going to be in the right orientation. So Cricut's made that easy for us. Over here in the left panel here on this screen, there is a mirror button. You just turn that little toggle switch on and ta-da, look, it has now mirrored the image. So now we're going to be ready to go cut it. So I'm going to hit continue. And then you want to pick the right iron-on. So I want you to go over to browse all materials. Come up here to categories and do the drop down and go in and pick iron-on. And then find the iron-on you're going to use. For my particular mat, I wanted to use the everyday iron-on because I wanted to use white because I thought that would look best on my mat. You may decide you want to use glitter iron-on or something else. There's all the different ones here. So you pick the one that's going to be best for you. And I'm going to select the everyday iron-on and hit done. And now it's ready. Even in Design Space, it reminds you, make sure you turn that mirror on before you go to do it. And we're going to put the material shiny side down, and I'll show you that here in a minute. You will use your regular fine point blade that came with your Cricut machine, whether you're using a Cricut Explorer or the Cricut Maker. It's the same blade. And now we're ready to go. Okay, so I have a sheet of the everyday iron-on, and I wanted to show you, see how shiny it looks on camera? This is actually the plastic coating that's on top of this. That's called the carrier sheet. And the carrier sheet does not need any additional transfer tape on it. It's unlike regular vinyl, adhesive vinyl. This already has it on there, okay? And so you see this shiny side, that is a plastic clear coating, and your color of your iron-on is what's going to be facing up where this shiny side is. To apply it to your Cricut mat to cut it, you're going to flip this over and you're going to do what we call shiny side down. So the matte finish on your iron-on will be facing up. Okay, so this side is not shiny. I'm just going to rub this down really well with my fingers, and then I'm going to go into Design Space and hit the cut file and send this over to cut it out, and I'll be back to show you how to weed the vinyl. Okay, so now I have my everyday iron-on cut. I've taken it off of my mat, and it's hard for you to see this on camera, but looking at it with the naked eye, I can see where it's cut the image on here. So I split it out so that I was able to trim the top of this for where I have that love with the kids' names, the Santa snack image, okay? So to weed your vinyl, that means you're just going to remove the part that you do not want to apply to your project. I like to use the Cricut mat to hold that in place while I'm doing it. And remember, you're going to weed it from the back side. So the plastic lining goes back against your mat, and then you're just going to take your weeding tool and pick up a corner edge, pulling it away from the plastic. Okay, so here's the plastic carrier sheet here. Okay, and here is my iron-on. Now, you're just going to gently weed this. Weed means take away the part you're not going to use. And you can go in and just kind of peel it away. I do it with my hands generally to start off with, to get the majority of the image separated. I can use my weeding tool to help me get around the edges. Okay. Make sure you're, like, and some of the words have eyes in it, make sure you're not taking those with you. You want to leave them on the carrier sheet. Okay, so we're just going to peel all of this off. I'm not going too fast because I don't want to tear any of it. I want to be able to get nice clean edges where it has cut it with my Cricut. But it is kind of a plasticky type material, so as you're doing it, you'll see that it may shred a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Just make sure you get the nice clean edges around the letters. And then we're going to go back in and we're going to take out the centers of the letters. Okay, so you want to get the majority off. This you cannot reuse, so you have to just throw this away. Now we have the centers of the letters, so you're going to want to go through. Now this is where I also find using my tweezers helpful, because if the centers are small, you can use your tweezers to pick this up and help peel that up. So once you think you've got it all weeded, go ahead and take it up off the mat and flip it over and read it correctly to make sure that you have not missed any centers of letters or any of the part of the shape around the letter. And then you are finished with your weeding, and now it's time to apply it. I'm going to go ahead and weed the other piece, which is the Santa snack part. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to flip it over so it's shiny side down. Okay. Now this one's going to take a little bit of patience because there's a lot of little pieces on this. Okay, same thing. I've just used my weeding tool to lift up the vinyl on the corner. So here is my plastic liner and here is the vinyl, and I'm just going to start peeling this away. Same thing, you're just going to remove it. Okay, if you're confused about, does that piece stay or go or whatever, you can always look at your image set. I like to try to get the majority of the outside edges done. That makes it a little easier to go in and do the centers of the vinyl cut. And then this is where I also like to have my scissors handy, because as I'm weeding, sometimes it gets a little bit too much in my hand to handle as I'm trying to pull this away, and I can use my scissors to help me cut some of it. Just going to go ahead. When it looks like it's getting to be too much, I'll trim some of it away. Okay, so here we've got this. Make sure we get the majority of that up. Okay, now there's a lot of little words on here, but the letters should be sticking to the transfer tape and just the rest of the vinyl around it that we're weeding away. Okay, so this is getting kind of bulky to have in my hand, so I can just go in and snip some of it, making sure I'm careful not to snip anything that I want to keep. The Cricut cuts so nice and clean on this, it's really easy, but you do just have to have a little bit of patience. As you can see, you start seeing the image, okay? So you're just going to go in and go through and make sure that you have weeded every section that needs to be weeded, including the centers of the letters. So I'm going to keep working on this. You go ahead and work on yours if you are following along here. So now that we have prepped our iron on, we are now ready to figure out what temperature do we need to set our machine on to be able to apply it to our project. So if you go to Cricut.com/heat guide, that's going to give you this handy dandy heat guide that you use with the Cricut Easy Press machines. Okay, if you are using a household iron, you need to look that up at Cricut.com/help and click in whatever iron-on material you're using, and it'll give you directions for using a household iron. I'm using the Cricut Easy Press in this tutorial, so that's what I'm going to be showing you how to use. So you have three choices of Easy Press machines. You have the Cricut Easy Press Mini, you have the Cricut Easy Press 2, and you have the Cricut Easy Press. Now the blue one is the original Easy Press. It's still a great machine, but Cricut updated them and so that we could use them with the infusible ink. So they're the Easy Press 2 because they have higher temperature and they have slightly different features that are a little more advanced. So I've got it highlighted. I click this. It has a little green bar under here to let you know that that's the one you selected, so you know, because they're all going to be slightly different for time and temperature. So you want to make sure you pick the right machine. Then you're going to pick what iron-on material you're going to use. So it's here where it says heat transfer material. We're going to click the little down arrow, and I know that I am using the everyday iron-on. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to pick. If you are using glitter iron-on or holographic or any of these other types of iron-on, you would pick the one that you're using. Okay, so I'm going to do everyday iron-on, and then the base material is going to be what you're applying your iron-on to. So we know that when I looked at my placemat, it is like 94% polyester. So I'm going to pick polyester as my base material. And then it also has down here a choice. So if you're using the Cricut Easy Press Mat, which is what they recommend that you use, and there's good reasons for it. It helps protect your desktop surface. It also helps reflect the heat back up into your project, so it gets better adhesion that way. So that's the one I'm going to select. If you don't have an Easy Press mat, you have an Easy Press, but you haven't bought a mat yet, you could just pick towel, and that would be like a big hand towel, or a big bath towel that you're going to fold over, and you could use that as a way to protect your surface and to give you something to press the vinyl against, the iron on. All right, so once we hit apply, la-da. All right, so it automatically tells us we need to preheat our object for 5 seconds. We need to set our Easy Press at 315. We're going to be doing it for 30 seconds. And we just need light pressure, which means you're just going to, just barely hold the machine down. You're not leaning into it or putting any weight on it. And the type of iron-on that we're using is a warm peel, and I'll explain that later. If you are using Fahrenheit, it automatically defaults to that. If you are using Celsius, you need to change it to Celsius because your temperature is going to be different, okay? So make sure you have it on the right setting there. There's even a little handy thing here where it explains everything to you. So Cricut's done a great job showing us this. So let's go get our Easy Press ready and let's start working on our project. Okay, so you want to get your Easy Press out and you want to put it on, turn it on, okay, and then we're going to, the directions on the heat guide said to put it at 315, so we're going to hit the temperature button and it's at 330, so I need to bump it down to 315, and we know that we need to do it for 30 seconds, okay? So it's already on 30 seconds, so I don't need to adjust the time. And you'll see over here that the little button is in red, and that means that it is working and warming up. And it's going to beep at us in a minute when this changes to green and let us know that our Easy Press is ready for us to use. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to set this off to the side. And now I have my mat out, okay? And my mat, this is the bigger Easy Press mat. This is great for working with big, like when you're doing t-shirts or big long objects like this. Remember, I had already looked to make sure what material mine was made out of. So you want to check yours. The 315 for 30 seconds is if you're using something that's got a high polyester content. This says 94% polyester. So I picked polyester in my heat guide setting, okay? Now I've got it out here. I'm waiting for this to warm up. In the meantime, had already done my weeding. So I want to make sure, let me just peel that off, that I have double checked and made sure that all of my letters have the centers out of them. So you want to make sure you've done that. But you can start looking and seeing how cute this is going to be on the placemat. Now, I like the placemat idea as opposed to a plate just because it's a little bit different and it will be easier to store away, in my opinion. So this is kind of the look that we're going to be going for. We're just waiting for our Easy Press to warm up. It'll be that way in just a minute. And so I'm going to decide where do I want this on my project. Okay, so that's going to give me an idea of where it's going to fit. All right, now it did say that we need to warm this up for 5 seconds. Okay, so I'm just going to take it, and this is just warming the material up. Okay, it's not going to take very much. Remember, I'm working with polyester, so I want to be super careful that I'm not putting too much heat on. Okay, and then I'm going to take my image. The top cover is the plastic side that's going to be facing up, and then your vinyl is on the back of that. That's what's going to get adhered. So now this is where you need to know where you're going to lay it down. So I want mine about here, okay? And then I have my words. I'm going to go ahead and lay this on here. I think I can do that. I need to trim this edge here just a squish so that it is not going to overlap with my words that I'm trying to apply. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm cutting the carrier sheet down just a little bit more so that I can lay both the pieces on at the same time. And I just cut just a little strip off. Okay, that's basically all I needed to be able to get this on here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. This is what it's going to look like. I like it. Looks good to me. I can move it over just slightly if I want, maybe just a little more centered. Okay, so once you have your image down where you want to apply it, that's when you get out the Teflon sheet. Okay, now Cricut makes one, it's white. I don't have mine handy right now, so I'm using another Teflon sheet that I have that is made specifically for heat transfer vinyl. This is going to protect my polyester where I'm going to be applying the heat from it getting too much heat on top of it. All right, now this is bigger than my 9x9, so I will be doing this in probably 3 sections, maybe 4. Okay, so you're going to be looking at your image, and you'll need to make sure that your easy press goes straight down on top. I'm going to set it here. I'm going to go ahead and count it down, and I'm going to notice kind of where my image is around this, so I know when I move this over, I need to make sure I'm covering this part here that my easy press is not covering. If you're using the big 12 by 10, you would move yours around differently based on, you know, the size of your image that you're using, or if you're using even one of the smaller easy presses. Okay, so I've got it down for the 30 seconds right here. I'm going to lift it straight up. I'm going to put it straight down, and then I'm going to do another 30 seconds over here on this side. And it'll just cut out. I'm hardly putting any pressure. I'm really just kind of resting my hands on this. I'm not pushing down hard. You don't really need to push down hard with this. The weight of the machine actually puts enough weight on it. If you're doing something really thick that you're putting it to, sometimes it tells you to apply more pressure, and you would just kind of lean into it a little more. Okay, so this one. All right, now I'm going to go down here, and I need to hit the words that are down here. So I've got most of the words. I've just got a little bit of the CECI right here. I'm going to need to move this over. And so we'll do it 4 times. All right, I'm going to hit that last section. Now this will be warm to the touch, so just be careful as you're moving it around. That's why you really need the larger easy press mat. All right, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to let this cool off for a second, and then we're going to start picking this up. Okay, and because I want to get some air on top of this so that it'll start cooling the carrier sheet down. All right, you can just set your Teflon sheet out of the way. Now this is going to be still hot to touch. Now this particular iron-on material, our heat guide told us that it is a warm peel. A warm peel means that when you can put your hand on it, it doesn't feel like it's going to burn your fingers, that it's warm. You can start taking it off. But if you've done it in sections, you need to wait till the whole thing is warm. Like it's still really hot right here. So I'm going to leave this cooling for another second. You can also lift your project up like a t-shirt or whatever. Remember, this is sticky, so it's stuck on there at the moment. So you should be fine and not messing anything up if you want to lift it up off. Now your easy press mat is great because as it's putting heat on the top, the material in the easy press mat is actually pushing some heat up from underneath, which helps make sure you get a nice finish on your iron-on projects. Okay, that feels warm to the touch. Now I'm just going to start rolling this away, making sure that it looks like everything's stuck down. It is looking beautiful. If for some reason you've got a section that it is peeling up, you can always just lay the carrier sheet back down on top, put the Teflon sheet back on, and just apply just a little bit more heat, not the full 30 seconds, maybe another 5 or 6 or 7 seconds. Okay, ta-da! It's so pretty. All right, and then we're going to take off the customized part of this. And now we have our cute little mat that we can set out. It says, Merry Christmas Santa, carrots for the crew. So you put some carrots here. This is cookies and milk for Santa. So cookies here and milk, glass of milk goes here. And then it lets him know who is this from. All right, so I hope you guys like this project. Let me know if you have any questions. Everything that I used in the video, I will put in the description of the video so that in case you want to get some of the same things, you can do that. My placemat came from the Dollar Tree, so that's super economical. They had a bunch of different ones, so you pick the one that you want. Just remember to size your mat, because all the mats are different really in size, and make sure that you size your image, and then you're ready to go. All right, thanks so much. Be sure and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got a lot more tutorials coming out. Join us in the Let's Learn Cricut Design Space Facebook group.